Hey guys, today I'm going to share with you a little bit about my breastfeeding / pumping journey so far. And the reason why I have decided to do this video is because I never realized how hard breastfeeding was going to be. I thought that us as women have breasts and when we have babies, they produce milk and it was going to be easy to breastfeed. I never knew about the complications that you could run into while breastfeeding. So I wanted to share my journey with you because sometimes breastfeeding doesn't always look like a baby attached to your breast. Sometimes breastfeeding ends up in exclusively pumping. So I have, in my journey so far, I've encountered women that have the same problem as me or are exclusively pumping for one reason or another. So any of the tips that I have picked up along the way, I wanted to share with you guys. So if any of you are going through this or are pregnant and don't know how your breastfeeding journey, if that's how you decide to feed, is going to go, you may encounter some of these same problems too. So if you can get a little bit of help or something from this video, I hope it helps, because I never even really thought much about it. I just thought that I would have my son and I would breastfeed and that would be it. It wasn't easy in the very beginning when I was in the hospitals when it started, and it was very difficult. I had such a hard time breastfeeding because he wasn't latching on. They checked to see if he was tongue-tied. He's not. Checked his lip, checked his tongue, everything was fine. I even just recently at his doctor's appointment, I had the pediatrician check again just to see, and he said, nope, he's completely fine. So when I was in the hospital and the lactation nurse came in, she was trying to help me. We tried to get him to latch and he would just scream and he was fussy and he just did not want to latch. And he had lost 13% body weight at our first pediatrician appointment, which they don't really want you to go below 10% or more than 10%, and he was at 13% because he wasn't getting enough food. So I was worried. I didn't know if, he wasn't latching, so we were syringe feeding him is what they had recommended, and that was clearly not working because he had lost so much. So I ended up buying the My Breast Friend pillow, and when I'm at home, I do try to still latch him onto my breast, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So just to make sure that he is fed and he has the right amount, I am now exclusively pumping. In the very beginning, it was so hard for me because it was a big adjustment. To exclusively pump is difficult. It's almost like twice the work, because if you're breastfeeding, you can just put him to your breast, or if you're bottle feeding, you just bottle feed him and you're done. If you're feeding formula, you're done. With exclusively pumping, you are now pumping and then you're, feeding. So you're doing that, and then after you're washing a bottle, you're washing your pump parts. I mean, it's just never ending. So in those wee hours of the morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever times you're pumping, you're exhausted, you're tired, and you're like, oh, I have to go wash all this stuff now, and I just want to go back to sleep. So in the very beginning, I sat there pumping and crying. Like, I would just have tears coming down my face as I'm pumping, and I would just get so stressed out. And my husband was like, you don't have to do this. Why are you doing this to yourself? And I was like, I want him to get breast milk. I mean, my hospital stressed, my doctor stressed, the nurses stressed, everyone stressed how important breast milk was. I never really thought much about it. I never even considered formula while I was pregnant, and I never really thought much about breastfeeding. I just thought, well, he's going to be born and I'm going to breastfeed and it's going to be great. Well, rude awakening, it didn't go that easy. So I was stressed, and I was really putting a lot of pressure on myself, because it was like, well, no, I really want to breastfeed, and I don't want to feed him formula, and I don't, I'm able to produce the milk. I want to be able to feed him this way, and I want him to have the best nutrition. I want him to have, all these things kept running through my head, and I put so much pressure on myself that it was unnecessary. And the first month, I was just a wreck. I mean, I was sleep deprived, I was exhausted, I was emotional, my hormones were out of whack, I'm trying to pump, I was trying to feed. It was miserable my first month. I mean, it was miserable. When I say that, it's like, I don't say it lightly. It was very, very miserable for me. And I just cried so much because my pumping was miserable, because it was like, I call it my chain and ball. It's like my chain and ball is coming with me because the thing is always attached to me, literally. Because in the beginning, you have to pump basically around the clock, every 3 hours, to keep your supply up. And you don't want your breast to get engorged, and so you're pumping nonstop. So every time the baby would feed, after he's done, I would pump, and then he would go back to sleep, and I'm sitting here pumping and then washing my parts and doing all of that stuff. So it's stressful, but it is doable. And my pediatrician in the beginning told me that he did not think that I was going to be able to exclusively pump. He didn't think that I would produce enough milk. So he had recommended we do a supplement with formula. And I was like, I'm one of those people where someone tells me I can't do it, it's like, I'm going to show you I can. So I was like, in my head, I thought, no, I'm going to be able to exclusively pump. That's what I'm going to do. So in the beginning, my supply was low, and I ended up making a lactation cookie. I did a video on it. I will put that link down below if any of you guys are interested. That lactation cookie really did help, and I ate about 2 or 3 of those a day. They're not like the healthiest cookie. They do have butter and regular sugar and things like that, but you need those fattier things to get the milk supply up. So, and tons of water. You have to be drinking a lot of water. And then I also found a company that I buy my lactation drinks and treats from when I don't have time to prepare the baked goods. So I do buy like my iced teas. They have a really good tropical tea, a really good lemonade, and then cookies, brownies, oatmeals, shakes, all kinds of stuff. They're all natural. The ingredients are wholesome, natural ingredients. She has a facility out by me, so I'm able to just drive and pick them up. She does ship all over, including Canada. And I will leave her website down below, and I do have a coupon if any of you guys are interested. It's a coupon off your first order. So I will leave that down below, but her stuff is really, really good. And I notice when I'm eating, like I'll eat, say, a brownie or a cookie, and she has a ton of different cookie options, like different flavors. If I eat a cookie or a brownie and 1 iced tea or 1 lemonade a day, my milk production is up a lot more, but it's the fattier content milk. Like it's a lot fattier. When I like refrigerate it, when I go to pour it into the bottles, you notice that it's creamier, fattier, good milk. So I like to have those treats on hand, or the iced tea or the lemonade all the time, just because I noticed a huge, huge increase in my milk. And when I first started out, when I was having the decrease in my milk, I went out and bought this More Milk Plus Mother Love. I bought this at Sprouts. And I started taking this, and I also bought this Traditional Medicinals Mother's Milk. I think every breastfeeding mom has tried this. It works for some moms, and some moms it doesn't. I had to stop both of these products, and I don't take either one of them anymore. I was doing like a trial and error elimination process to see what was going on. My son was completely fine until I started taking these. He started screaming and just getting gas like crazy. I was getting gas like crazy. I couldn't figure out what it was. I'm like, I'm not eating dairy right now, because I was trying to eliminate certain things in my diet to see if it was affecting him. I did research, and I honestly believe that it's the fenugreek in these products. This has the fenugreek, and a lot of women swear by the fenugreek. And for some women, it does work, but for others, it doesn't. It can cause you stomach aches. It can cause you gas pains, not only you, but the baby. And the problem with the fenugreek is your body becomes dependent on it. So yes, your milk supply goes up when you're taking the fenugreek, because my supply did go up. The problem is it can also drop your supply because of the fact that your body becomes dependent on the fenugreek. If you're not feeding it fenugreek anymore, your body's not producing the milk because it became dependent on the fenugreek. So I stopped these, and it takes about, I think it was like 7 to 10 days for me to notice a difference in my own stomach and in my little boy's stomach. So it was just those first few days, I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why is my stomach so gassy? I'm not eating this, I'm not eating this. I was trying to do like the process of elimination, that I wasn't eating certain foods, and that's what I contributed it to, was the fenugreek. So like I said, for some of you, if you tried it, it works. And then for others, it can do the complete opposite. It can actually drop your supply. It can cause the gas pains. It can cause stomach aches. There are pros and cons to taking it, but I refuse to take it anymore. And the company that I do use for my treats, she doesn't use any fenugreek in her products at all. Doesn't even recommend it. She is a lactation consultant and a nurse, and does not recommend it either. So if it works for you, I'm so happy, but for others, it may have the same effect. So I didn't find that to be helpful. The cookies that I've made have been very helpful. The treats that I buy, and then I try to do oatmeal a few days a week, and I add brewer's yeast to that, to my oatmeal, and I notice definitely an up in my supply. But like I said, really a ton of water. You have to be drinking a ton of water. So that. Another thing is on your breast pump parts. Now, I just recently started doing this, and it has saved me so much time. So on your parts, when you pump, I keep these stored in a Ziploc baggie if I'm going to be home or if I'm running errands, whatever, just for the day. Put these after you get done using them. I rinse it out, wipe it out with a little towel, and then I put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the refrigerator. If you're on the go, if you have an ice cooler, you can keep them in your ice cooler. If you're like a mom that's working and you pump in between or on your shifts or whatever, then keep them in a Ziploc and keep them in your ice chest or wherever, as long as they're cold. It's the same way how you store your breast milk. So keep these in a Ziploc baggie in the refrigerator and then just keep pulling them out throughout the day. And then you have to sterilize them at the end of the night instead of after every single use. So I found that to be so helpful for me, instead of like taking all the, the membranes apart and everything to sanitize and sterilize these. So I only do it now once a day at the end of the night. So right before I go to bed, I'll boil hot water. I'll use the Medela, it's the breast milk cleaner. I use that to clean these, and then I'll put these in the steaming hot water for about 10 minutes after it's boiled. And I do completely take the membranes in this little part apart. So take the whole entire thing apart, sterilize them, sanitize them, and then have them ready for the next day and keep them in the Ziploc baggie in the fridge so you don't have to clean them every single time. You just sterilize one time at night and it'll save you so much time. It's so much easier. Once I started doing that, it was great. Now for the days that I'm on the go, I do use these Medela, the quick clean wipes, to wipe these out. So sometimes I do pump in the car, and I will use these to wipe down my parts and the little Medela bottles. So my insurance provided me a breast pump and I hated it. It was really bad. I ended up buying the Medela, I think this is the pumpkin style. I'm not sure. It came with this little tote bag, and it's the pumpkin style advanced. So I just keep all my stuff in here. I have the cord, I have the little plastic pump cords. I have 2 things of these quick clean wipies in here. I have the little Medela bottles. I have different sizes of those because I do notice sometimes my milk supply is really high, other times it's low, and I only need the 5-ounce bottles, but I do have the 8-ounce bottles as well. So I have different size bottles. I do keep these little bags, and you can use these. My breast pump came with it, these little part to be able to pump directly into your bag if you're going to store these. So you put this on the little flange here, and then you pump directly into the bag. So if it's going to save you time, instead of washing all the Medela bottles or whatever pump you're using, you can pump directly into the bag. I just date these, put how many ounces, and freeze these in the freezer. In the beginning, I didn't have enough supply to be able to freeze and have my supply stashed away. Now I have a good supply going, and I'm able to freeze my supply, so if anything were to happen, I have milk on hand. So I do recommend these bags, especially if you're going to be storing your milk. Get bags, whether they're Medela, generic, Babies R Us, whatever bags, to be able to store your milk into, to be able to freeze them. And then, like I said, make sure you're putting these in the refrigerator so it's easier. You don't have to clean these all the time after every single pump session. And then the other thing that I've found, and I will show you, if I can get the photo, I'll insert it somewhere for you guys, to make sure that your pump is fitting onto your nipple correctly. Because if it's not, that could actually cause you pain. It can be really uncomfortable, and it could actually lower your supply. So it won't give you the full production of milk that you would if this flange was fitting the nipple correctly. So I will insert an image so you can make sure, and the Medela ones or whatever pump that you guys are using, they have different sizes on the flanges. So if you need a bigger or smaller size, just make sure it's correct when you're using it, and that will help you as well. Another thing that I have found helpful, or the one thing that I use when I am not at home and I'm in the car traveling, when I'm the passenger, I don't do it when I'm driving, but when I'm the passenger, my husband's driving, or if I'm at my parents' house or wherever I'm at and I need to pump, I will use the Hooter Hider tent, and I will just put this around me. And it's wide enough so when I'm driving, cars on the side and stuff cannot see anything. I'm not exposed. I just keep my pump bag on my lap, and then I plug everything in, the little outlet into my car. And this just goes around your neck. You just use these little buckles here to buckle it closed. And it completely, I like it because it has this like opening, so I can just kind of peek down and I'll check to see how much milk I'm producing, how much more, how much more do I have to go. And I just use this little Hooter Hider. And that has been really, really helpful. It's probably one of the best things if you're pumping and you're out. It's not, you know, it's not flying away. It's, you know, nothing like that. And I do use the Medela app. I don't know if you guys can see it, but anyway, when I start pumping, I go here to pumping. I start the little timer clock. I pump for about 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll go 25, and then you can save your entries for how much you pumped. You can input how much you got on your left, how much you got on your right, or you can just enter the total amount. So I track this even for my son's like diaper changes, his naps, the bottles, like when I feed him. I love this app, the Medela one. So I use this one all the time to track everything, and I just start that little timer when I'm driving or I'm at home. And I do pump every 3 hours. So sometimes I'll pump a little bit more. You can do a power pump session where you pump for 10 minutes and then you wait, do another 10-minute session. It's not recommended to do all the time, but you can do it if you notice that your supply is dipping. You can do a power pump session. So I'll leave those instructions on how to do it down below as well if you need to do a power pump. But like I said, it's not recommended for all the time. It's just when you notice that your supply is starting to decrease and you need to bring it back up. That's how you'll power pump. And then I also bought these breast pads. I originally bought the disposable ones because I thought it would be easier. I just bought the Babies R Us brand, the big box. They were actually really itchy. Like my breast was always really itchy, and I don't know if I'm allergic to something that's in it, but I could not stand using them. So I ended up buying a few packs of these washable breast pads. I got them in cream, white, and black, and you get 2 sets in here. So each pack has 4. And I just wash these. So I bought enough sets, so if I didn't have laundry going, then I'll always have enough on hand. So these I just put inside of my bra, and they're nice because I'm not leaking through onto my shirt. These are actually like a 5-ply. They're really thick, but they're not like annoying on the breast. So I did get these reusable ones instead of the disposable because I found that those are just more comfortable. And honestly, when I was looking at these, I was like, I could probably sew these, but I don't really ever have time. So maybe when I'm pumping, I can put my sewing machine out as I'm pumping, sew. But you don't really have enough time to do really much of anything when you have a newborn. So, but they're fairly inexpensive, and I can leave the link below where I bought those. They do carry those at Bye Bye Baby, Babies R Us, most mother store. But I bought these online from a website that I bought a lot of my maternity clothes through. She was having a big sale, and I picked those up. And I'm probably going to order some more because I actually really, really like those. And she's fairly inexpensive, even on her maternity clothes. I mean, probably the best prices that I've found while I was pregnant. And she does have like nursing tops and things like that if you are breastfeeding, so you can order that kind of stuff. And then I shared this in one of my other videos, but for this one I'll show you guys. This is the Nurslet, and this is just a little like Velcro, I don't want to say tie, it's like a little Velcro, I don't know what you want to call it, like I want to say bracelet too. It is a bracelet in the fact that you can wear it if you're breastfeeding. If you left off on your right breast, you know next time you need to start feeding on your left breast, or vice versa. But what this does is it holds up your shirt. So when you're pumping or breastfeeding, you gather your shirt in the center, and then you just Velcro this closed, and it holds it up. So when I'm pumping, this is nice. I'll just pull my shirt up and then keep this you know, wrapped around, so my top isn't falling down, and I don't have to like worry about that. So this little Nurslet thing has been handy for me just while I'm pumping. And then I also have the Bay-O-Bay. I showed that in another video, and I didn't bring it in here, but I have the nursing tank top, and I'll link that down below for you guys. That, I love that thing. I wear it all the time underneath my tops because it goes underneath your bra, so all you have to do is just clip it down. So even if you're out and if you are breastfeeding, all you have to do is just unclip your bra and then latch the baby to your breast. But that has been really helpful for me for pumping, especially since it's been cold. My belly has been covered, so it's nice. And then I also have the Medela hands-free bra, and it's just like a little tube top that has little holes right here for the breast pump to attach to. And that has been really helpful because I pump after I take a shower and I'm putting on my makeup. So every single day after I get out of the shower, I bring my pump bag up to my vanity, and as I'm doing my makeup, I'll pump. So I always do that in the morning, and that's been so helpful to be hands-free. Even if you're, at work, or if you're a working mom that is doing work stuff, just to have a hands-free instead of sitting there holding the pumps in place, it's nice to have the hands-free bra to be able to pump. So I do have that one as well that's been really, really helpful. I've not encountered, and I really, really hope that I don't, like the clogged ducts or the mastitis or anything like that. But if you do, I have seen that the sunflower lecithin is really good for the clogged ducts. You can take 3,600 to 4,800 milligrams a day, and that's, I guess, to help the clogged duct. That's something that a friend of mine had passed on to me that I had learned about. I know there's some other things that you can do, the cabbage leaves and things like that. But I try to, as I'm pumping, and this is what a lactation consultant had told me, massage your breast while you're pumping and kind of pull from like the back here, like the back of your breast forward, like go from the back forward. And that's where like the fattier milk is. So you want to make sure that you're pulling that forward. So when you're pumping, you're getting some of the fattier milk. So as I'm pumping, I do kind of try to massage my breast so I don't get any clogs or anything like that. I've seen things about that and read things, and it's so terrifying because I hear it's painful. So I just try to, pump as often as I can and then massage my breast as I'm pumping. So I hope those are helpful for you guys. I'll leave any of the links for the lactation cookies and teas, things like that down below. Those have honestly probably been my biggest lifesaver in my breastfeeding journey, because in the very beginning I wasn't producing a lot of milk, and now my supply is up and I've been able to freeze a lot. So it makes me feel better, because if I'm not producing a lot that day, I know I have stuff stored, that's a tongue twister, stuff stored in the freezer. So any of my girlfriends who are having that problem, that's who I always refer them to. I'm like, you need to order these treats because they have done wonders for my supply. So I hope you guys are all having a great day. If you guys are in this journey, I hope you guys are having a great time going through it, because it's not always easy. I'm here if you guys have any questions for me, anything I can share with you, anything that I've come up with along the way or things like that. I'm always here to help. So if you have any questions, just ask me, and I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.